All right, my fourth graders, we're going to be doing lesson review for day 1, and we're going to be focusing on place value, just like we did in the beginning of the school year in September. So we have a problem here, and it's asking us to write it in word form. Right now it's in standard form, and it is 231,329, and it's asking us to put this in word form. So do your best that you can with the spelling. No points will be taken off if you mess up the spelling. Don't worry about that. So let's try it. Write it in word form. We've got 200. So we want to write it out exactly how we would read that number. 231. There comes that comma, which means that we go to that first period, which is called the thousands. So we've got 231,329. And that is how we're going to write from standard form into word form. The next one's asking us to do it in expanded form. And I kind of like to think of this as that we are stretching out our number, like how Hulk stretches out his numbers. Stretch out those numbers. And how we stretch out those numbers is that we are going to use plus signs. So let's try 30,321. Well, what's the value of this first 3 right here? Well, that is in the 10,000s. The 0 is in the thousands. The 3 is in the hundreds. The 2 is in the tens. And the 1 is in the ones place. So we're going to actually put the values in. So since that 3 is in the 10,000s, we have 30,000 plus, because we're going to stretch out that number like the Hulk, we're going to use pluses to show that we're stretching it out. There is no thousands, so I don't need to put any thousands, but now we're going into the hundreds, and we have a value of 300. We have 2 tens, so that means we have 20, and we only have 1 ones. So that is how we stretch out our numbers using pluses to show each value of each place in that number. Now we have something called standard form. And right now I have a number written out in word form. And this says 35,702. Let's read it again. 35,702. So we're going to write this out in standard form. And standard form is just write out your number like you regularly would. So we've got 35,000. So I'm going to write this out. 35,700. There is no tens, so we're just going to put a 0 for that placeholder to show there is no tens. 702. So I just written this out from word form to standard form, which is 35,702. Okay, so now it's asking us for name the value of the underlined number. So let's read this number, 372,000, there's that first period, no hundreds, 96. 372,096. Well, they want to know the value of this 7. So we can't say it's 7. What place is that in? Well, we have the hundreds, the 100,000s, 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. So this is the 100,000s. What is this again? This is in the 10,000 spot. So we need to write this in 70,000 because there is 7 10,000s. So it's 70,000. That's the value of that place. Okay, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to now compare these numbers. And how we compare these numbers is that we're going to look at the highest place value. And in this problem, the highest place value is the hundred thousands. So let's look at the highest place, and here's 1 in the hundred thousands, and here's a 1 in the hundred thousands. So that doesn't help us. Now we're going to go to the 10,000s. There's a 1, and there's a 1 in the 10,000s. Again, doesn't help us. Let's go to the thousands. Here's a 5, and here's a 5. It doesn't help us. Now let's go to the hundreds. Here's a 7, and here's a 2. Automatically, we know that this is going to be higher because 7 is greater than 2. So we are going to make a greater sign with 115,796 because the hundreds is bigger than as a 700, and this one only has a 200. All right, our next one is showing vertical number lines. And these are my personal favorite because it shows how the numbers are growing up. They're moving up. So this is the lowest it can go. Here's that midpoint. And here is the highest that it can be rounded to. The lowest it can be rounded to and the highest it can be rounded to. And that halfway point tells us when we want to go and move up to the highest point. So I always like to sing that song to show us right here. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer, right? Halfway there. Excuse my wonderful singing abilities, but gets us into knowing where our halfway point. Our halfway point is showing us that we have to have a 5 somewhere in it. And there's a 5 next to it, then we can move up. If there isn't a 5 or a greater, we move up. If there isn't a 5 or a greater, we move down. Round the numbers to the underlined place values. This number says 6,232. Okay, so I know we needed to take a little practice. We haven't done this in September and October. So if we look at 6,000, we know the lowest we can go would be 6,000. So I'm going to write 6,000 on the bottom because that's the lowest we can round that number to. The highest, what would be the next 1,000 we can move up, would bring us to, on the top, 7,000. So now what we have to do is we have to look next door, and what do we see? I see a 2 looking back at me. If there is a 2, a 1, a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this number stays the same. But if this number is a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this number goes up 1. So what number is next to it? Well, it's a 2. So we know 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this number stays the same. So what has to be next door is that 5, right? Halfway there, that midpoint. So that's what we're going to write, 6,500. So where would 6,232 be in that number? Where would that go on the number line? Well, that number would probably go around somewhere around, let's see, I don't know. Here's a good estimate. 6,232. So that's where 6,232 would probably go on the number line. And when we're looking at this, we're noticing that this number is closer to 6,000. It is nowhere closer to 7,000 because it has to be past that halfway point because there's a 5. It has to be past that in order to grow to 7,000. So we would round it to 6,000. Our next one is 1,759, and we are going to be rounding the hundreds place. Right here is the hundreds place, and that's the one that we're going to be rounding to. We're going to leave the thousands alone. So in our number line, in our vertical number line, you have to show 1,000 in here because we're not touching him. We're touching the hundreds. And if we look next door, ooh, I see a 5. And what do we know about the 5? Well, that's that midpoint. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, this goes up 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this stays the same. So I am going to label my places so we can go down to 1,700, right? And that's the lowest we can go, or we can go up to the next 100. We need to leave the thousands alone, but if we go to the next 100, it would be an 800. All right, so in that case, where would our midpoint be? Oh, halfway there. So let's put this guy somewhere. Where's our midpoint going to go so we can place him somewhere? Well, our halfway point is going to look like this. 1,750. Ooh, our number is very close to that. So I would say we would place our number right. Ooh, it's very close to this one. 1,759. So we are closer to 1,800 than we are to 1,700. So we round this number to 1,800. One more time. All right, here we go. Let's do it one more time. We are going to show 992, and we're going to put it on our vertical number line. But we are underlining the digit of 900. So we need to go either to 900, and if we add one more to the hundreds, we're going to the thousands. These are always the tricky ones. So we can either go up, we can either go down to 900, or if we add another to that 100, we're going to go up to 1,000. Now we have to go that halfway there. Now we got to put that halfway point. So what did I always say the halfway point must have? It has to have that 5 in it. So let's look here. It's a 9. So remember what I said. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This goes up 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This goes down. Well, actually not down. Stays the same. So let's find what we have to do. So if this is going to be a halfway point, the 9 has to have what number next to it? A 5. So let's put a 5 in there. So 950. All right, so where does 992,000 go? Well, it's going to go... Excuse me, sorry. It's going to go really close to that 1,000. So it goes probably about around here. Not perfectly, but almost there. 992. So where do we round this number? Is it closer to 900 or is it closer to 1,000? Well, as we could see, it's closer to 1,000 because it's past that halfway point. So this gets rounded to 1,000. Be the Hulk. Be the Hulk and try to solve and destroy the following problems. Good luck, 4th grade. Round 52,792, but I want you to round to the thousands place. Write in standard form. Right now I'm giving you in word form. 792,402. That's in word form. Now write it in standard form. Nice job, 4th grade. You have destroyed those problems. Nice work.